What up, guys? How you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Listen, today for today's video, what we'll be doing is we'll be checking out my podcast setup. If you are planning on starting a podcast in 2023, I'm here to share with you some tips, some things you might want to consider, things that I've learned, and yeah, let's get into it. First of all, I started my podcast in 2020, just during the pandemic. In May of 2020, I got with my friend and we started a podcast. When we started, I didn't have anything. I had a chair, I had a phone, and I bought two cameras and a recorder, a Zoom H5, and then we just set out from this. So starting out, it's you can start out with anything in your house. It can be, all you need is your phone and a way to record your audio and get your ideas out there. But I can also understand how difficult it is for a lot of people because, if you're not into content creation, then it can be a uphill. So I'm just gonna make it easy for you. Right now, we're in my studio. Essentially, we converted our living room into a studio. I live with one roommate in my house who doesn't really use the living room, so yeah, he allowed me to turn this into a studio. So essentially, the equipment that I use, my main camera that I use is the Sony A7 IV, which I'll be showing you right now. This is my main camera. Not the one. Yeah. So yeah, I mainly shoot on the A7 IV. What I have on top of it is like a knockoff of a Rode Video Mic Go. I just do this because I needed to reference. My audio goes in through this Shure SM7B that I got because I had a lot of good things and they used it on the Breakfast Club. So I was motivated by the Breakfast Club to be like, I'll just use what they use. So yeah, so right now you are looking at the Shure SM7B, which I use to record audio, and then to process all the audio, I do it through the Rodecaster Pro 2. I had the Rodecaster Pro 1, which was quite phenomenal for the job that it did for me. It's just that when I got it, this then came out like the following month, so I just returned the Rodecaster 1 and got this one. I'm still learning how to use this one, so I can't really give you a breakdown right now, but we'll definitely be doing it if it's something that you guys would like me to do. And then for my lighting, what I mainly use for lighting is I have this is the Afreamer 100XT, which essentially means has 100 LED. I don't know what it means, but essentially this light is enough for me. It's a powerful light. I have this dome on top of it because I love having soft lighting. I use that, and then I just put the mesh in front of it. That way it keeps my face soft. And yeah, I like low lighting. I'm not really a fan of having harsh lighting. And then for the colors that I have in the back, I have this newer lighting system. I'll put links in the description, which essentially I put the blue light because everything that I do has blue being my favorite color. I have two of them. And then for my tripods, I'm using this Amazon Basic. Yes, I know I should do better. But for now, because my cameras are not really that expensive, I can get away with this for now. But I do plan on getting a better tripod, especially as I start getting crazy cameras. And then one thing that I do, if you've been a fan of my podcast as well, is you see that I put in like videos. I put videos on the podcast. So how I'm able to do this is I connect my iPad. This is a 2018, I think, iPad. I don't really need the latest one, but I think the M1 iPad is pretty cool. So I connect my iPad to the Rodecaster Pro 2 via Bluetooth, and then whenever I screen record off of the iPad, and then the audio syncs in already because it's connected to the iPad, which I think is a pretty nifty skill to have. Right now, let's see if we can play something real quick. One of my favorite channels that I look at is the Wall Street Journal. So that's where we get a lot of our reactions from. We just play a little snippet real quick of how this whole thing works out.
Green hydrogen is a
Well, we don't
fantastic
really like YouTube
opportunity to
commercials,
help
but we
the
have
world
to
to
start
decarbonize. It's not an idea, it's a real plan in a real industry, in a real business.
So there we go.
This is your tech news briefing for Tuesday, November 22nd. I'm Zoe Thomas for the Wall Street Journal.
Hey Zoe.
Having hearing problems?
So yeah, that's essentially how I'm able to produce my podcast. Other than that, I do have a couch. It's just a couch that I got for free from my friend. He's into moving, so he got me a free couch. So whenever I have multiple guests, we just put them there. I have 4 or 5 other microphones in the house that I use right now. I have 2 SM7Bs outside that I use for recording the podcast. It's because mainly it's usually I have one guest. I haven't had multiple guests in a long time. The other thing that I do is you can do those Zoom type of podcasts with this broadcaster, which makes it quite perfect for production. I haven't done it, but it's something that it does, which is phenomenal. Um, in terms of lighting, I like using colors. I like using colors in this. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I have this lamp right here. So in that lamp I have a Walmart light, which is lighting. Comes under Wiz. I don't know what's the brand code, but I just use that also to just spruce up the lighting system that we have going on. But essentially that's that. And then yeah, I don't know what else to tell you about this. For my Cam B, the camera that I'm holding right now, I use the Sony A7C. This is my Cam B. I mainly use this to have my B camera, just to have somewhere to cut to. I was planning on getting 2 A7Cs so that when I'm having a 2-person podcast, each person has a camera that focuses on them, which helps when editing. But one of the challenges that I've had is these things do cost a little bit of money. um, so you can't really just buy them. But what I've been thinking of doing is actually selling off my A7C to get either the FX3 or the A7S3, and then get another get camera. So I'm planning on getting 2 additional cameras, 2 full frames, so I can get maybe another A7 IV and then the A7 that one. But still, that's a lot of money, because the thing is, you learn that when you're doing this podcast, which is not necessary, but is the thing that I had to learn real quick, is the quality that comes out of your camera system. So if you have 2 different cameras, they have 2 different color sciences, and you can try to match them, but it's almost difficult. So one of the challenges that if you don't want to spend a lot of time color grading and all that, it's to set up your picture profiles in the same thing. But one of the challenges you have with that is these things, they are different. They have different sensors, so you might as well just get the same type of system. So if you're gonna have A7 IVs, I would say just get 3 A7 IVs. That way you cut out any stress of having to color grade. You just know that you're getting the same footage out of the different things. You use the same lens, you use the same everything, and then it just solves your issues. Why am I going for the A7S? Because I'm also a cinematographer, so I need something that I can use just purely for video. So that's why I'm planning on getting a A7S3 or FX3, and then getting another A7 IV. So that way I have 2 A7 IVs pointing at me, and then I have the A7S as the main camera. That's my game plan for now. That's another almost $10,000 that will go into that. So that's a lot of money. I'll leave links to the products that I've mentioned in terms of how I make my podcast. In terms of advice, if you're just starting out, I would suggest that don't invest in the SM7B, because it's expensive. This is like a 500 Canadian dollar mic, so 2 of them is $1,000. Whereas you can get the Samsung Q2U, which costs like $80. 2 of them. That's the ones that I started with, which give you perfect voice, especially at the price point. If you get those 2, you're 160 in. You get your Zoom HN5, you put it in, and you're good to go. You have beautiful rhythm. The other thing that I forgot to mention is my headphones that I use. So right now I'm using the Audio Technica's ATH. I believe this is the ATH M20X. This was probably one of the cheapest ones that I could get, because you don't really need studio standard headphones for monitoring. This is just to make sure that your guests are speaking into the mic and you can hear it, because with a mic like this, if you start speaking far away from it, it doesn't pick up your voice pretty well. So you have to literally eat it for people to be able to hear you. So these headphones do help. In terms of editing, I'll take you guys to my room and show you. I mainly edit on, I have the Mac Studio. I don't have I have the Mac Studio M1. I believe there's the M2 now, but I have the M1. That's where I edit on. I edit on Final Cut or Adobe Premiere. So I use either or. It just depends on the mood and the amount of work that goes into what I'm trying to achieve. And then I use SSDs. I have the SanDisk 128 gigs. You need those, especially with these full frame cameras, because different settings will not work. So right now on my A7C, because I'm trying to get into vlogging as well, I had to change my settings, so I'm not shooting in 4K on this one, just to be able to use the memory card that I have. So you have to be very careful with that. With that said, I think that's pretty much all you need for your podcast. You might try to do some music and all that stuff, but you don't really need much to do a podcast, man. It's just your ideas and sitting down and getting to it. So I look forward to hearing your podcast. If you started a podcast, leave us a link in the description and I'll definitely be checking out your podcast. Thank you for showing up, and definitely be seeing you in the next one.